Well, joining me now in the Life Matters studio at ABC RN is Joanna Gbotoe. Joanna is a Liberian nurse. She's in Australia at the moment doing an international public health masters at the University of Sydney. But for her, back in Liberia, which is an absolute hotspot of the Ebola crisis right now, well, the crisis is very personal. Her family is affected by it. Her colleagues are affected by it. And she joins me now. Welcome to Life Matters, Joanna.
Thank you so much.
And for you, this is intensely personal, isn't it?
It is.
You have lost your aunt.
Yes, I have.
She didn't make it to hospital, did she?
She was taken to the hospital, but it was so late, and she died a few hours after she arrived at the hospital. Yeah.
Did people suspect that it was Ebola?
At the initial stage, they didn't suspect that it was Ebola. When I received the call that she had gotten sick, so I asked what were the symptoms she was having, and then they listed she was having fever, she was vomiting and passing stool. So I said, oh, that should be Ebola. So I think you guys should call the ambulance to pick her up and take her to the quarantine unit. And they made efforts in calling the ambulance. Unfortunately, ambulance could not get there right away. So they had to hire a commercial vehicle to take her to the quarantine unit, which was like a couple of miles away from the residence. And by the time they got there, just a few hours afterwards, she died. But fortunately, the medical team were able to take the blood specimen for testing. And then after 72 hours, they got the result that it was positive.
And she died?
She died, and she was cremated. And so the family had no means of getting hold of the body at all.
You were effectively their advice?
Yes. I had to give them advice, tell them what to do, and tell the family members how to, stay away to prevent themselves from getting the disease. And then the rest of the household members, the husband and the kids, were all quarantined for 21 days. Fortunately, none of them were infected with the Ebola. But a week after she died, the husband got into a hypertensive crisis. His blood pressure went up so high, he couldn't cope with the situation. And then he had no hospital admissions, and he died at home a week ago on Saturday.
So your uncle had a heart attack after his wife's death, your aunt's death?
Yes,
I'm sorry to hear that.
A week ago.
This must be very hard for you because, as is also the case, while you're studying your masters, you have 3 children back in Liberia, don't you?
Yes, I have.
And are you in contact with them a lot about the risks?
I'm in contact with them every day. I have to make calls to them, telling them to stay home, avoid being around the crowded areas. But with our cultural practices, it's so difficult, especially with the handshake and hugging. Since July, the schools have been closed down, and keeping the kids at home is a challenge for the parents out there. If you think about what is happening on the ground, being a family head and you are not there, it's worrisome.
Very hard for you. One of the issues has also been that people can't have an adequate or proper or traditional funeral for their loved ones who die. You mentioned that your aunt was cremated. Were you able to have a proper funeral?
No, you can't. You cannot take the body of an Ebola patient because even if they are dead, the contact risk of getting the virus is high, so you cannot even touch the body. That's why we have the task force team that goes out and takes the body from various homes. If patients die at home or if they die at the quarantine units, they have specific guidelines to prepare patients for burial. Our cultural practices prior to the Ebola outbreak, we do our burial. We prepare the bodies, especially in the regions, and this is where it is most challenging because in the regions you don't have funeral parlors to take their body to. They prepare them at home.
At home?
Yeah, at home. And so now it's a challenge because they can't do it anymore. They have to stand by and let this task force team come and take the body and carry wherever to go and dispose of it.
And you don't get to say farewell properly. What emotional impact is that having on your own family and indeed the neighbourhood, the community that your family lives in?
They are all undergoing stress right now because especially for the family of my aunt, the community members have been shying away from them. They are not involved with them anymore. They are stigmatized. So that's the issue. People are stigmatized. Ebola patients are stigmatized. This is one of the main reasons why patients that have Ebola, they are hard to come out and admit that indeed it is Ebola. They will rather shift it to other diseases because they are afraid that community members will ostracize them and, stigmatize them of this disease.
Yes, so it's a very, very complicated cocktail, isn't it? Of stigma and silence, but the need to be really transparent about this. Everyone's lives are affected. Joining me this morning is Joanna Gbotoe, a Liberian nurse currently studying her Masters at the University of Sydney. And I can see from the passionate discussion on the Life Matters Facebook page that you have a wide range of views about what Australia should do in this situation.